Hello, and welcome to the Healing Path. I'm Laura Donnelly, founder of Dancing with Ease and Body Brain Balance. I started this series of conversations because I realized I have so many friends who are working in many different modalities in the healing field. And we have such a joyous time talking to each other about healing and where our work overlaps and where the growth comes from, which is often kind of surprising, but also fun. And so probably all the people I brought on to be on this series really have a common idea, which is for me a foundational belief, is that all healing starts with self-healing and then it ripples out into the world. So today's guest is Tracey Jane Hughes, who is going to speak to us about listening. And over the last couple of years, she and I have worked together off and on. And one of the most amazing things about Tracey Jane is that when she listens in a conversation that we have, so I'm expecting to learn some more stuff today, I learn things about myself that I didn't know. Something about how she listens helps me to hear myself better. So here's Tracey Jane. Hi, Tracey.
Hi, Laura.
So good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. And
You're welcome.
Talking and sharing about listening.
Yeah. And, listening is, we think that listening is just one of our core skills. But I thought I was a good listener until someone asked me to become a trainer for listening. And it was only on that very first course that I did that I then realized that I wasn't a particularly good listener, because I used to be listening whilst I was trying to do lots of other things. And if you're doing lots of other things, you're not actually listening. So it was interesting what you said in your introduction, Laura, that, about how I listen, because I listen very differently now to how I did maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I started my own listening journey. And it truly has been a healing one. Listening is truly healing.
If you would like to share about how that happened with you. If the sound goes bad, we might have to stop and start again. But we'll see.
Okay. So I was invited by a friend just to become a listening trainer, and I was I'm always a busy person. I've always got lots on my plate. I love being busy. I was at a bit of a loose end at the time, and I went, yeah, of course I will. And they were setting up a listening service, literally a professional listening service with volunteers in the local town for people just to go and be listened to. But they needed trainers, and I'm a trainer and I have been all my life, and I'm also a coach. Amongst other things and other businesses that I do and I run, and I'm a mum. So no problem, I'll fit that in. And literally on that first course, the first day course, so it was three days of training. So we as trainers, we obviously did the training, and then we had some extra stuff to do to obviously then help other people to learn how to listen better. And on that first day, when we had to, in pairs, sit and listen to somebody for 5 minutes without talking, that's when I realized that I wasn't listening as well as I could. And I suppose the healing journey then started from there, because at that time, I think it was probably about 6 years after my mum had died. She was 65 when she died, and then there was lots of, so I was still in sort of a grief phase. I was in a grief phase over a business, and it's sort of a guilt phase and about a business that I felt, I hadn't served properly. But now looking back, I know that actually it was because I was listening to myself that I made the decisions that I did. But it's only now, sort of 4 or 5 years on from having that first experience of going, no, I'm not actually listening particularly well, that I realize how far I've come on that journey. And being able to listen to yourself and sort of trust that instinct, because we all have instincts, we all know the answer, we all know what's right for us, but we choose not to trust it. Even at school, children at school may feel they're not being listened to. And then if they don't feel they're being listened to, often they'll shut off. So they will learn almost, by chance in a way, because we don't, education systems don't mean for this to happen. It's just a side thing that happens. But they stop trusting themselves. They stop trusting their own instincts.
Mm.
And so they stop listening to themselves. And in some ways, that's what's happened. It's what happened to me. I stopped trusting myself. And it was only when I started listening and helping other people to listen that I started to realize that I had control. It was my responsibility, whatever happened in my life. It was my responsibility. It wasn't, the lady that I go and see for reflexology every month or 6 weeks. It wasn't her responsibility to get me back into alignment. It was my responsibility to make sure I wasn't as busy during my day, but that was me listening to myself. I was probably, I was more overweight than I should have been. But it was only when I took responsibility, I started listening to myself, that sort of made a difference. And then, one of the things in the last couple of years, Laura, since we've connected and since we've started, working together, is that the way that you talk about finding that place of ease, and ease anywhere is ease everywhere, that's real, true listening to yourself, because you've got to listen to your body and actually hear it and go, yeah, that's easy. And even, I remember our very first, sort of live conversation. We did it live conversation together when you were taking me through a process, one of your processes, and I physically, my shoulders just dropped because you were helping me to listen to my body better. So there's so many different ways that we can use listening, that when I say to people, listening is the heart of everything I do, and they go, oh yeah, right. And it's just like, no, it is at the heart of everything I do, but it's not simple, it's not easy to listen well. And I know I've had coaches over the years, and mentors and business advisors, and even therapists that haven't listened to me.
Oh, that's
Yeah, but you don't always realize until afterwards. It's only now that I realize that they didn't actually listen to me. It was, they'd got an agenda, they'd got a tick list. And that's often what we find with some processes or systems. So again, what I encourage, you to do and people to do is, if something's not right, it's not right. It needs to change. Whether that's a feeling, a sense, if your body's not right, if it's, a relationship, that's listening to me. That's what listening is all about. But we often hold ourselves back because once you've seen something or heard something, you can't unsee it or unhear it.
That's true. And if you were going to help somebody who wanted to learn to listen, what is the first step that you would suggest somebody start to do to begin to listen to themselves better?
Yeah.
Um,
So one of the things is actually making space. It's actually making some space in your day just to find some quiet time. And you don't need to do anything in that quiet time. You may choose to find a meditation, or you may choose to go for a walk, or you may choose to write, in a journal. But for me, the most important thing is actually finding that space. And it's from that space that you've created that you will start to listen to yourself, because you've stopped. A lot of us, I was really good at this. I didn't stop. I just did not stop. And, I burnt out. I've had depression. The whole gamut, the ups and downs, the roller coaster, everything. And when you listen to yourself, you have to stop, because your body, your brain is telling you something. But if you keep going, you're not allowing yourself to hear it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is actually, because it's very hard for us to listen to ourselves, because we do hold ourselves back. We're really, our brains are really clever, and we have all these different levels of consciousness that I'm still learning all about. But we have all of these things going on, and we don't want to hear. So we choose just to go, oh no, I won't listen to that bit today. But if we actually say out loud, and this is where, I think it's interesting, Laura, that, in the introduction, you said, when I'm listening to you, you hear things in a different way. And a lot of the times when we're working together, if we've got a coaching session going on, I don't say an awful lot. It's literally, I am just listening. So finding that person or people that you can talk to share what you want to share, whether it's whatever it might be, and just knowing that they aren't going to interrupt you is one of the biggest things. As humans, we love to fix. So often, our friends, because they love us, our family, because they love us, want to dive in and help us. They want to fix it for us. But if somebody fixes it for us, it might not be the right solution for us. And we also don't learn. So, again, going back to a child analogy, if a parent helps a child with their homework, that child won't necessarily learn that skill. So if we're always doing something for somebody else, they won't use it or learn for themselves. If we allow that person that we love or care for that space, so it might be, like you and I are now, you're listening to me and you're just allowing me to talk. And if we just did that a little bit more in our families or in our workplace, it will just allow people just to go, oh yeah, now I've said that out loud, that either does make sense or it doesn't make any sense at all. Let's go on to the next thing. And what I've found, in my own practice is that when I do write, I do write every day, I do journal every day, but I often don't write everything because I stop myself. But when I'm with another person, this is where, we should all have coaches, mentors to work with, because they will see something that we are choosing not to see. So having that person to listen to you makes a big difference. So another suggestion is to help people sort of get going with listening, to themselves, is the next time you are wanting to share something with somebody and they interrupt you or they give you advice, just say, "Can you just listen to me, please?" Very nicely. That was probably a bit too much. That was probably a bit too. Ooh. But just stopping them, because what we've noticed in our family is, because it had a massive impact in our family, because I used to cook the tea, talk to the children, or pretend I was listening to the children when they came in. So now in the family, we have, we actually say, if you want me to listen to you, wait until I finish this, and then I will listen to you. And it's made a massive difference. My husband particularly will come home from work. He just needs to get stuff off his chest. He doesn't need me to do anything. He doesn't need me to understand anything. But just that fact of getting it off your chest and being listened to, and know that it's okay to feel how he's feeling. He might be feeling frustrated. He might be feeling, but just by sharing it and him working out, because he has spoken it out loud, his next step, that's that's it. That's good enough. And it's made such a difference to his mental health.
Well, and then
And my
it's
teenage boys as well. Again, it's like realizing that what they say is important.
well, I was thinking he does it, and then it's over.
Yeah.
So I'm also, when, if I don't, I know what it was. This is so funny. Sorry. How it works. If I don't say something, it's rolling around down there. And if I'm trying not to hear it, it might be rolling around faster, because I think our whole self is always trying to heal us. And when we are out of alignment, like you said, because we are not listening to our inner self, our inner guidance, our inner knowing, we're just slightly out of step.
Yeah.
And this sounds like, like if something's happened at work, your husband comes home, he's feeling out of alignment.
Exactly.
And then by having you listen, which is really just creating a space, like you said before, for your individual self. And I think that that's where this ripples out.
Yeah.
Is you must first learn to create that space for yourself.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you want to do, you can't create it for someone else if you don't listen to yourself. But that thing that I refuse to hear might show up as a dream. It might show up as a physical thing in the world, like if it's a kind of thorny issue, I might start to have problems with people I care about, because this thorny issue is trying to come to the surface and I'm trying to push it down.
Or you might start having headaches, or you might start having, problems with your stomach because it's churning around in your stomach. And there are so many, I talked about listening this listening project that I sort of first started out with, some of the listeners, these people are in doctors' surgeries, and the doctors have recognised that if somebody shares something with a professional listener, that's often all they need, is just to be listened to. And they don't necessarily need pills or anything else or any other healing. Sometimes, it is just that, get it off your chest, get it out of your system and be listened to. And that's it. Some of the stories some of the listeners have come back with is truly incredible, but it is true healing. And we can, help to heal ourselves. If there is something not quite right, just stop. Just find 5 minutes. It only takes 5 minutes just to go, something not quite right. I need to, and again, I might just need to try something different. Or that's the beauty of what you're creating with the healing path, Laura, is something might just for somebody go, oh, that's interesting, that might work for me. We'll try it. And just by trying something doesn't mean you have to continue to do it forever. I would encourage you to listen forever. I would encourage you to find ease forever. But some of the things that I've experienced and tried, they're just for now. They're just to get over that next hurdle, or to help, heal that thing that's not quite right. There's so many things that we can do to help ourselves if we just listened.
And I think listening happens early. Like if it happens early in the process, we can identify something that's out of balance.
Yes.
Before it goes so far out of balance. It's like your doctors were saying, if these people get listened to, this thing doesn't settle in a body part.
Exactly.
And like you said, they can think they have a digestive issue, and they can start taking medicines and pills and doing tests to correct the digestive issue, when maybe this is just an idea or something that happened that is unpalatable. It's not supposed to be something that they're supposed to ingest and absorb. I thinking about a dog, and the dogs are so fast. If they eat something that's bad, it comes right back out.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're done with it.
Yeah.
And I think we don't always think about ideas that come into us as food, or as something that changes us.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happens when I'm doing, I kind of do listening while journaling, because I want to capture the thoughts.
Love it, love it, love it.
And because I take a little space, things come up to my mind, and this is how it feels to me. It's like they come up out of my body, and they come together in words, but words is the last form for them. They start as a feeling, they start as a muscular thing, they might start as a pain, but it's something. And if I ignore it, if I take aspirin, if I treat the symptom without listening to discover the cause.
Yeah.
My most simple one is when I get a headache from dehydration. I didn't know I was getting dehydrated, but then I got this headache. But if I take aspirin, I still don't do anything to solve the dehydration.
Yeah.
And so now if I have a headache, that's a signal to me to pause. Yeah. And like you had said, pause, take some quiet time, listen. And sometimes you find the funniest things.
Oh, you do. Definitely.
And it is also, I think listening is gentle. You know, you can listen for 5 minutes, you can listen for 10 minutes, you can listen for 20 minutes. You can have a big realization and say, okay, I need to let that sit for a while. And you heard it, and you heard your body and your brain and your whole self. And I think that's really, I think it's really healing, like you said, really healing.
It is. And, you know, when I work one-to-one with people, you know, I'm not just listening to the words. It's about, you know, listening is to the whole body. So a good listener will be listening to the whole self. Because sometimes, you know, words that come out of somebody's mouth don't match what their body is saying. And just to be able to reflect that back and just check with the person, you know, your body looks like this, but your words are that, you know, which is true, and just allow them to sit with that. You know, we can do that in our families, we can do that in our communities, we can do that in our workplace. You know, the words that are coming out of somebody's mouth might not match their body language. Are we listening to the whole person?
That's important.
And it's important for us as individuals to listen to our whole body as well. It's not just, you know, thoughts and feelings. It's not just the body. You know, sometimes, you know, when I listen to my body, it craves chocolate. You know, it does. You know, sometimes I will respond and go, yeah, I might have a bit of chocolate. Other times I go, no, actually, that's telling me something else. But that's because I'm now skilled at listening to myself.
That's just wonderful. If people want to dive into this, I
Yeah.
have this link I'm going to put up, and we'll put it in the comments and we'll put it in the post also, how you can get in touch with Tracey Jane. But if you wanted to tell people a little bit about the Business Cheerleading Club and
Yeah, so I run multiple businesses and connect with people in different ways. So I am a coach and a trainer. So I run training sessions, you know, for listening. So if, you know, people are interested in that, then please get in touch. But what we've put up here, the Business Cheerleading Club stroke passion, is it's a 5-day 20-minute focus each day to help you to start listening to yourself. So you can just connect with that. I will. There's a free Facebook group that you can dive into for extra support with that. But if you're wanting, you know, one-to-one support, you know, just get in touch. It's if you've got a business, yeah, again, there's different ways of using listening. You know, I always say you need to start with the personal, but sometimes people come to me for business support, and then we turn it into a listening session, if you like, because they need to listen to themselves first. And if something's out of alignment in the business, is it an out of alignment with you? So there's all sorts of different ways that I can help you to listen better. It often depends where you're out of alignment. And if you listen to yourself, you might recognize that yourself. Otherwise, you can just, you know, use this link, any of the connections. I'm here on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, on Twitter, whichever is best for you. Just give me a shout, and I'm always happy to talk about listening because it really has changed my life. It has changed the lives of my family, and it has changed the lives of my clients and the people that I have trained to listen. It, you know, that ripple effect is just incredible. So I encourage you to listen more, however you do it, and just try that, you know, listening for 5 minutes exercise. It'll be interesting.
yeah, and if you do, I love that thing. That thing is so, I don't know what the sound is, but whatever. If you listen and you have some discoveries and you want to share them, come back and post them in the comments for this video. We'll check back. We'll the whole purpose of this is to start a discussion about
Yeah.
healing. And there are universal things about healing, which is that it happens.
Yes.
And it doesn't happen the same way for everybody. And at the same time, your healing journey has inspired mine, and my healing journey has inspired yours.
Exactly.
And in some ways, I'm hopeful that this whole series will inspire other people in ways we don't know about yet.
Yeah. And I'm sure it will, Laura. I'm sure it will. And, the fact that, if we can get, I can't believe it. The fact that we can get people to listen with ease, that would just be brilliant. If people just did that, they would start their healing journey, because you start noticing what's going on for you, and know that you need to make some difference, even if you don't know what that difference needs to be or what to do next. You're noticing, and that really is the first step. So just noticing, taking that time just to notice and listen and find your place of ease is just incredible.
Well, thank you
Thank you
much.
so much, Laura.
Thanks. I appreciate that. You shared so much good ideas, and I was listening, and I have more ideas and thoughts. I'll be going to journal now after this, and I'm just always so happy when I see you. So thank you very, very much, and I appreciate your time and your thoughts and your presence, which I think
Thank you.
before we quit, I think also listening, when you are in that state of open listening, part of how it heals another person is that you're really present. You sort of described this, that sometimes you were busy doing other stuff and kind of listening, but if you pause and have the intention of creating a space to listen, you're making a space of presence where the other person can be heard, and they are invited to join you in that place of presence. And I think that we don't always know what will happen, but in that space of presence, I think healing does happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laura.
Take care.
I'll see you soon.